Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. That's right, folks. We are back. It's been, 3 weeks, Kyle?
It's been a while, yeah. It's been a while.
It's been too long, honestly, and we're finally back.
Mm-hmm.
Nick McVicker, joined through the Garage Door Sports Cup phone by my amazing co-host Kyle Vardy. How are you doing today, man?
Doing good. I'm awake, which is a very big surprise for a Saturday morning, but
I was gonna say it's a little
I'm
odd
up.
for you.
I know. I'm up. I'm ready, and happy to talk some sports today.
Well, I'm happy to be back, man. It's been too long since we've had a chance to jump on here. Schedules suck.
Yep.
And when I was working 2 to 10 a.m. for the Olympics for the CBC, it made it difficult for us to get on, but we're back. We got a lot to catch up on. Irfan, unfortunately, could not join us this week. He's finishing his thesis, so keep killing it, buddy. We're proud of you. Keep doing what you got to do. But we got so much to talk about. EPL is back, dude. Messi is no longer at Barca.
Yeah.
NHL, NBA off seasons are in full swing. There's MLB going on. We missed the All-Star break, by the way, before we get into anything else. What did you think of the All-Star game? What did you think of the whole event with Shohei being the lead guy and then Vladdy ended up winning MVP in the game?
I mean, the game itself was okay.
It was
I
anticlimactic.
like the premise of it. I like Shohei hitting both, like playing both positions, like that kind of stuff. Like that was really cool. But like the game itself was, eh. And then like I don't know if we want to talk about the actual home run derby itself, but my guy got knocked out in the first round. I had Joey Gallo, who just didn't do a goddamn thing. So, I mean, it was an interesting weekend. Still not a fan of the jerseys, but that's a whole different conversation. But it's good.
Yeah, and the big thing that I pulled from the home run derby, man, and this was just totally random, but I was looking at all your guys on the betting house, all your picks and everything, and I'm just like, okay, no one really had Trevor Story, and I thought he actually performed pretty well. I was impressed with what he did, and then Juan Soto looked fantastic. But no one's beating Pete Alonso right now in a home run derby. That guy is so locked in when it comes to home run derbies.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, and it's I'm kind of exposed Justin right now, but Justin wanted Joey Gallo, but I already took him, so he took Pete Alonso instead, and ended up winning that as the winning pick. So
Yeah. And, I mean, full credit to him. I wasn't sure after the first round if he was going to be able to keep it up. Not only did he keep it up, he dominated the rest of the derby. Like, he was so locked in. He was dancing in the box. Like, that's when you're locked in. Anytime you're
he was
dancing.
100%. He was enjoying himself, and I think that's honestly where he shines the most is a home run derby style like that, right?
But that's what it's supposed to be. That's the whole point of the home run derby is to have fun, enjoy it. Like, don't stress yourself out. Don't change your swing like crazy. Just go out there and swing. What's the worst that could happen? You don't hit a home run? Like,
yeah, go out there and have fun.
That's the whole point of the All-Star Weekend, which is why Vladdy is like the perfect poster boy for All-Star Weekend because he has fun no matter when he's playing the game.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like even regular season, he's just having a blast being on the field. That's because he grew up around it. He doesn't stress about it anymore. Right? Being
100%.
around his dad, it's perfect. So I'm really excited. I think he's having a great time. I think the league in and of itself is lucky that he is doing so well, Vlad, right now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Honestly, and I think the league is truly benefiting from both Vlad and what we're seeing out of Otani. And honestly, it's one of those. It's the two of them, and it's one of those. It's become more of a one horse race, and no offense to Vladdy, but it's just he's kind of fallen off comparatively.
Absolutely.
And Otani's still pitching well. That's the biggest thing. If Otani wasn't pitching well,
the sad thing is though, Vladdy could win the Triple Crown and not win the MVP.
100%. Well,
how ridiculous is that?
Yeah. Almost half Jays signing Michael Brantley might take that away from him, but we'll see.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. He could possibly win the Triple Crown
100%.
And still, like, it wouldn't even be close in my opinion. I think Otani wins the MVP right now based off the last few weeks.
I think if he wins the Triple Crown, it's a different story. But if he doesn't win the Triple Crown, then it's a conversation to have.
Yeah. And you throw in the juniors in the AL in Ronald Acuna and Fernando Tatis. Like, the league's in a good place right now for superstars. It's fun to watch. Anyways, not what we
Absolutely.
not what we were coming to talk about. But let's get right into our kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. Calling all kickers and punchers in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. By the way, CFL is back.
Mm-hmm.
Argos looked good in week 1, looked like crap last night. Blue Bombers look fantastic so far through 2 games.
Yep.
Calgary looks lost, which is a surprise to me. I thought they were still going to be good this year, but they've lost something. Again, not the point. Let's get into it. We'll start with soccer today, Kyle. And before we get into the EPL, which is back this weekend, by the way, thank the Lord. This is going to be so much fun to watch soccer again. We got to talk about the biggest news story from the offseason. And it wasn't the Euros. It wasn't the Olympics, which, by the way, go Canadian women.
Yep.
No. It was Messi. Messi leaving Barcelona because they don't have enough money based off of the league. And that's the key. This isn't a Barcelona issue. They had enough money to pay him, apparently, even though they're like millions and billions in debt.
Yeah, like apparently they did, but didn't, or just like.
But the league, La Liga, has said that due to financial restrictions, financial barriers, they could not pull together the deal that they had agreed with Messi.
Right.
Which means Messi is gone.
Yeah, and it was one of those. He even offered apparently to take like half of the original agreed upon dollar value just to stay with Barca.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like, well, clearly something was up because that there should have been some way to work around it. Like I don't know the whole financial background. I don't know everything going on, but it's one of those like, if La Liga came in and stopped that, I don't get it because they just lost the best player in the Liga.
And they've already, don't forget, a couple years ago, they lost Ronaldo too.
Yeah.
And Neymar. Like, they've been losing big name players for the last few years. You'd think that they would want to try to keep Messi involved because you just lost your golden ticket.
100%.
Right? Like, no offense, La Liga has been going downhill. Ramos also left this year too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at a very, very new La Liga where Atletico is probably the best team right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know if I'm wrong on that one, but like they look to be the most complete team. Real's on the transition. They got a lot of young guys. They could surprise.
Yep.
Barca's a mess.
I would not touch Barca right now with a 10-foot pole.
So it looks like a mess to me. And then, of course, Leo goes and signs with PSG, which, by the way, before we get into the whole PSG looking really, really good now with Leo Messi, how the hell are they able to afford him under financial fair play? How does that make any sense?
Wasn't PSG one of the teams that was struggling with money when we talked about last year?
Well, like all of them in the Super League thing were struggling with money.
Yeah.
Not as much as like Real, I think, is the worst, but
maybe I'm thinking Real, but I thought PSG was right up there, and it's like one of those like
PSG, I think top 3. So how
like it's one of those. How the hell can you do that?
I don't get it, honestly. Like, I'm honestly surprised that they're allowing it because it seems like it goes against financial fair play. City got dinged for this a few years ago. Let's not forget that. Chelsea got dinged for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they couldn't sign players for two transfer windows.
Yeah. Essentially a full year. Yeah.
Essentially a full year. So why is PSG able to go out and buy Messi with no issues while they've been buying people all they just picked up Sergio Ramos? I think that was a free transfer though, wasn't it? Now that I think about it.
Yes.
So okay, maybe they're doing it because they just don't have any big transfers because they're getting everyone for free. But
Well, I was gonna say because Messi technically counts as a free transfer, does it not?
Messi's a free transfer. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Because there's technically no, they didn't buy him. His contract ran out, and it was a free transfer.
Yeah,
So I guess
I didn't
that's
even think about
why. I guess that's why it falls underneath it. Like it's it's a weird loophole, I guess, but it's like it's technically a free transfer.
that. But he signs a 2-year deal with PSG. Now PSG looks just stupid good up front.
Scary, yeah.
And they, as we also said, they are also added Ramos. Like they're really really good right now.
Oh, absolutely. That whole team just looks astounding. It's
And the sad thing to me, I still don't think they win Champions League.
I mean,
They should.
yeah,
Like the lineup should win Champions League.
100%.
But just knowing the fact that the best team usually doesn't win Champions League immediately says to me that PSG is not winning Champions League. Right? Like
It's tough. Like, would I like them to win? Yeah, I think it'd be kind of cool. But like, and that's coming from a Chelsea fan. Like, I think it'd be cool to see them, and like, I would honestly love to see them just like completely dominate, just like run through. And it's weird because that would be terrible for competition, but it'd just be kind of cool to see, like because you don't really have that. Like, I guess you could say Bayern sometimes kind of runs through it, but even then, it's not really
yeah, but they
like
also use their B squad in the group stage and then come out
yeah,
and run through afterwards.
yeah, fair. But like,
That's because they can, because the German league's not very good, so they can use their B
yeah,
squad in the German league in the second half of the year and just get through no problem.
I mean, didn't they lose or did they draw yesterday? I don't think
They
they
drew
actually won.
yesterday.
Um, but actually, speaking of PSG, the other one, free transfer of Donnarumma. I was like, wait, what?
Oh yeah. That's true.
Like, it's like God, the front four for PSG:
It's gross.
Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, and Di Maria.
It's gross.
That's just disgusting. Oh God, let alone adding Ramos to the back. But that's just, I don't know. I think I would like to see them do well. Will they do well? We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's all up in the air, so we'll have to see. Let's flip the script. We'll go to the EPL now, Kyle.
Mhm.
And the EPL's back this weekend. We've already had 2 matches finished. There's a bunch going on right now.
Yep.
Who has had a good offseason so far, in your opinion? Who did the best to make their case for this season?
I like the signings of Man United. I like the Sancho signing as well as the Varane signing, even though apparently the Varane signing isn't official. Apparently?
It was announced this morning before the game.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, so he wasn't in the
Okay.
lineup, but he was officially announced today.
Right. Okay. So I do like those signings. That really secures, well, basically 2 of the biggest holes they had last year, and truly gives them a running for that top spot in the EPL. I don't know if they're quite there yet, but at least it gives them a chance to go for the running there.
Yeah, they're
I
definitely
do.
top 3 in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. And I think, no offense to Liverpool, but I think Liverpool's 4th. I think realistically.
It depends on how well Van Dijk comes back. If Van Dijk comes back and he's that defensive wall, they have a good enough attack that they can make up for that, or they have a good enough attack that they can score a goal or 2 a game, and that defense is just going to be good, right? I think
Right.
he is the true cornerstone of that team. If he comes back and he's ridiculously good, they're fine. But
Yep. But again, we'll see. So, can you not? Thank you. I do like the Man City Grealish signing. I think, is he worth that much? To me, we'll see. I
they
think
have to pay the English fee.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying we'll see if he ends up being worth the money, I guess is the real question.
Yeah.
Um, right? It's one of those. Can he be that player? 100%. He could be a fantastic player for City. Where does he fit?
That's what
Right?
I'm wondering. Because they need a
'Cause-
striker. They don't really have a striker.
I mean, didn't they struggle to get Foden in as well last year? And don't they basically play the same position?
Uh, Foden's more of a centralized guy.
Yeah, but
If given the chance, he's more of a central attacking guy. But
yeah,
yeah, they do play the same position.
like it's very similar situation where it's like Foden. I don't think got as much time as he should have last year.
No, not even
Right?
close.
To
Not even
truly
close.
develop, and it's one of those like, are they going? Is Foden now going to get even less minutes because Grealish is there, and they're
And they
going to try and
also
get
brought
him more
in
minutes?
they also brought in this guy, 18-year-old Kaki from Brazil, from Fluminense. He's
Okay,
another winger.
yeah,
Like, you're just bringing in wingers. You don't have a striker.
yeah. Well, and that's why honestly,
Aguero's
barring
gone.
something, barring a Harry Kane, whatever the hell happens with him, I mean,
Yeah,
they're stuck. Like,
yeah.
but I still think City's has one of the best teams. Don't get me wrong. I still think they're going to be top three. I still think they're going to contend for that title. Um, but I'm not sure about that signing. I like it, but at the same point, where is it going to fit?
Yeah.
Um,
Like I think
and I,
they're gonna have Sterling up front. Obviously,
yeah,
I'm not silly people. I get that, but like you're gonna have Grealish and Mahrez on the side, and then Foden's coming off the bench again, and Foden's the one that needs minutes.
yep,
That's the issue.
hundred
And then
percent.
you got Rodri, Fernandinho, and Gundogan in the middle.
Yep. I mean,
Their defense is an issue though. No offense.
that's all.
Cancelo, Diaz, Ake, and Mendy is not a strong enough defense.
No, especially when the teams around you have gotten better offensively too. Like you look at like Chelsea's biggest problem last year was scoring goals. Right? They
Yep.
had no problem keeping the ball out. They had no problem with that, but they had the problem with putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yep.
And honestly, that Lukaku signing, I personally would have liked Holland better, just my opinion. But clearly, they
Well,
didn't want to meet
yes,
that
but
asking
that's
price
not really
because
their fault right now.
no, because the asking price was just stupid. Like, and even then, even what they signed Lukaku for was still an exorbitant amount. But at the same point, if he becomes the Lukaku of the
United
Italian
and
league, when he was in the Italian league, if he becomes that Lukaku in the EPL, he's worth every penny. It's
or
not
if he
even a
was
question.
like even the last little bit when he was at United, like Lukaku looked like a beast in the EPL.
Well, the first season at United, if we get that Lukaku,
Yeah.
done. The second season, he struggled a little bit, and that's what got him to go
But
out
then
on
at the end, like at
transfer.
the very end, he was doing really well before he
Yeah,
moved.
and honestly, I think Lukaku's a different player than when he was in the EPL.
Absolutely.
He's experienced more. He knows what to do. But the other thing is, he's not like a Timo Werner who comes in, who did fantastic in the German league, all of a sudden comes in and doesn't know how to play EPL football.
Yeah.
Lukaku's been there before. That's the biggest thing.
He's been there, done
Right?
that. He knows what he's doing. He's been coaching guys in the
Exactly.
in the EPL for the last few years.
Exactly. So it's one of those like, I think this could be a fantastic signing for Chelsea. And honestly, I want to see them play Werner and Lukaku up front together because I think Werner would truly dominate, not being
The
the
target.
focus point of that Chelsea attack.
Yeah. He doesn't have to be
If
the
he
target.
exactly if he's the second, because the biggest problem with him last year was offsides because he had no idea how to stay onside.
He also couldn't hit the net
Um,
when he was shooting, but that was a whole
that
other
yeah,
issue. That
that's
that comes with
yeah.
confidence though.
But it was one of those like he struggled to stay onside and he struggled with the defenders purely focusing on him as the front guy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think if you have those two up there, you cannot focus on Werner as the top guy. You're focused on Lukaku. That's your biggest thing.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so I mean, to me, Lukaku could be up for the Golden Boot, but with Jorginho taking penalties, it might take away from him. So we'll see how that goes.
I hate Jorginho's penalty taking.
I, that's the Super Cup. Oh God, that was just like ice in the veins. Just I'm scoring this, and I don't care what you do.
It is so annoying for me because I'm I'm a big believer that you just need to run up and take the kick.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Don't do anything that's going to affect your run up, because guess what? It's going to cost you in the end. Why
Yeah.
are you doing this stupid little skip?
I mean, it works for him,
It
but
works, but it doesn't work too, because he missed for Italy,
oh yeah, fair.
right? Like
Yeah.
if he had just blasted that into the same corner, instead of
Hmm.
doing the skip, he probably would have been fine, because it wouldn't have thrown off his timing. It wouldn't have thrown off his angle, and whatever.
Fair.
Uh,
But
I get frustrated.
100%.
Yeah, but I was disappointed actually with City's offseason. I don't think they did anything to build on their defense. All they did was bring in
Yeah.
Grealish and the
Yeah.
other winger that I mentioned. Sorry, and they brought in Scott Carson, the 35-year-old keeper from Derby County, or Derby, not Derby County.
Who probably won't see a minute.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
They got a bunch of guys back from loan, but then they sent a bunch of them right back out on loan or sold them.
Yeah.
So like, they didn't do anything. I do like the Sancho signing for United and the Varane signing.
Mhm.
I also like the Tom Heaton pickup. I know he's 35 as a keeper, but
Yep.
he's been through the United system, so it's kind of a good thing to have him in to work with.
Well, as I say, is that going to not going to take away time from Henderson?
No, like Henderson will get minutes. Heaton is more coming in as like a mentor for Henderson, because he's been like
Player coach.
kind of, but he's been through the United system before Heaton. Like, he came through the academy and everything. So to bring
Fair.
him in to sort of help Henderson with the transition from being a number one to being the backup before becoming the number one again is probably the right thing to do, in my opinion. I would love to see a little bit more from United in regards to like a midfielder, but it's a little late. It's a little late in the transfer window for that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not really surprised by any of the teams offseason. Like, everyone kind of did what I thought they were going to do. So,
No, I mean, when it comes to the EPL, like,
sorry,
no.
let me correct that. The only team that didn't do what I thought they were going to do was Tottenham. Because
To
Tottenham
what?
did nothing.
Replace Kane?
They did nothing,
Oh.
and that was the problem. I thought they needed to move on from Kane, because that's just been a distraction.
Yep.
Not that they should, but I think they needed to.
Mhm.
And they needed to fill, and they didn't. They didn't do that. All they did was lose Alderweireld and Hart.
Yeah.
And they brought in Brian Gill.
I think the other one is Arsenal. I think
Oh, Arsenal. Yeah.
like the Ben White signing, which I believe will be criticized, I guess you could say, for God knows how long.
Listen, I
Could
think
Ben
Ben
White?
White has the ability to be really good,
Yeah,
but I don't think he was ready to be a true
a,
number one.
a marquee signing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like he was over twice his market value was what they paid for him.
And that's the thing. I think the biggest thing is, will he ever live up to expectations for his money's worth?
Not at
Will
Arsenal.
he?
Yes, he will. Yes,
Yeah.
he will, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Arsenal is not the right place for him to have gone.
Fair.
If that makes sense. Like, I just don't think their system right now, and we'll get into it. Well, actually, let's just get right into it now. Like, were you surprised by either of the first two matches so far? Well, the answer is yes for the first one.
I was gonna say Brentford showed up like killer beats. God,
no, there's no chance that I expected Brentford to win by 2 goals.
no,
It's just not what I expected. But then again, you look at Arsenal and it's like, okay, if any of the big six are going to lose a big game in the first week, it's going to be Arsenal, and it's going to be a surprise.
it was gonna be them. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Haley. I know if you're watching, you're going to hate me, or I know if you're listening, you're going to hate me for saying this. Arsenal is a big six club with the mentality that they just need to maintain. They just need to stay in the top half.
Oh, there is no big six anymore.
No, but
Sorry.
you know what I'm saying, right? They
No,
have the
I
money.
know.
They have the money of the big six. I would
Yeah.
say that there's a big six when it comes to financials, and then there's Arsenal at the bottom of that big six, who just are okay with finishing top 10.
So they're the New York Mets of the EPL. They have the money.
Yeah,
Team's not very.
yeah.
They try
that's a
to
good
make
example.
additions. Doesn't do much.
That's a good example. I like that one. It's disappointing because the history that goes along with it. Like, I want to respect Arsenal, right? They have the Invincibles history. They have all these great players that have gone through this club, right? So
Mhm.
they have the backing of one of the best fan bases because of that.
Yep.
And yet they pull crap like this and put out a crappy lineup. No offense, it was a crappy lineup.
Well, and the biggest problem with them is because of all that history. There's so much expectation,
Yeah.
and they don't do anything. Like
No, they don't.
it's like, hey, we need a striker, right? Let's bring somebody in. Like they're going after they were going after Tammy Abraham of Chelsea, and then all of a sudden they're getting beat by who is it? Trying to think of the team. Trying to think of the team. Uh, Maroon logo.
West Ham?
No, Spanish.
Oh, Spanish.
Spanish.
Maroon logo?
Oh, sorry, no, sorry, Monaco. I think. No, either way, whatever. They're getting beat by somebody. It's like even if they try and go after somebody like a striker, all of a sudden, no, they're getting out. They're getting outbid by somebody else. It's like come on. I'm sure if you look up Tammy Abraham, the first
I'm
thing.
doing it. Yep.
Yeah. So
Um,
I think it's Monaco.
he's still Chelsea. So Roma.
Yeah, no,
Roma.
but Roma. That's it. Roma. Close.
That's Italian, dude.
Potato.
Spanish.
Either way, but like
Kyle's
it's
not
like
actually
those.
awake. I know he said he was awake, folks. He's not actually awake.
But like even then, like it's just one of those. It's just Arsenal is just that team like people like to pick on. Like they used to be a big six team. There used to be a big six team in a big six in general.
Yeah.
It's now down to four, right?
I would say 5. I would actually add Leicester up there, in my opinion, personally. Because they've been consistent. Since they won their championship, they have been consistently in the top 5, top 6.
I just don't think Leicester's on the same level as the other four right now.
I'm not saying they are, but I would say
yeah.
they're still a big 5 because they keep finishing in 5th or 6th every year, as opposed to Arsenal, who goes from 4th one year down to 9th or 8th,
Yeah.
and then sits there for a few years, and then jumps up into 3rd, and then goes back down to 9th or 8th. Like Leicester's at least consistent enough that, and they compete with the top 4 in those matches. They don't.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they win a lot of them, but they compete at least, and it's 1-0, 2-1 games.
Yep.
Where I'm comfortable in putting them in the top 5.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just one of those like the four in no particular order is Chelsea, Liverpool, City, and United, and it's
For
one
a
of
while
those like
there, it looked like United was falling off of that, but they've
I was gonna say
slip.
well, beginning of last year you made the hot take that they were gonna finish outside the top 10 or whatever like that. I
Because
can't
they looked
remember.
awful at the beginning of the year. After the
Yeah.
first 4 weeks, I thought they were gonna. I was worried that they might be fighting for relegation. Not really, but
100%.
like it was a legitimate concern.
But and then it's one of those, now all of a sudden they turned it on, they figured it out, and
The
they went out
Lindelof Maguire combo worked finally after 2 months.
Yeah.
Now they've
well,
replaced
and they've finally figured out, hey, maybe we should go fill the signing or go fill our holes with the signing. So they end up doing that, and it worked out, and
exactly. Yeah.
it works. So
So that match was a bit of a surprise. United beating Leeds 5-1 this morning.
I mean, I'm kind
Not
of
a surprise that United won.
Yeah.
But yeah, surprised it was 5-1. Like that was a lot. Fernandez looked phenomenal.
Well, I was going to say after he looked absolutely horrible.
He
in
looked
the,
awful.
European, like in the Euros, he was horrible.
Yeah, he was awful. But
And it wasn't even a question.
so he gets the hat trick today. Pogba with the 3 assists.
Yep.
Fred comes on, gets a goal.
No. I mean, they look good. So
Things are looking good. I also love that they kept Cavani. I think that's an underrated one because I think he just fits the system right now. Okay, quickly, surprise team who's winning the EPL in your mind? Any surprise teams? I'm going out on a limb. I got Chelsea winning.
see, I want to say Chelsea, but at the same point,
But I really could see any of the top 3 that we talked about winning.
100%. And it's like one of those like I had personally, I'm a Chelsea fan, but I have to go City just because I can't go against City. Like they're always successful. It's just,
Yeah,
it's just
my only concern is that if
yeah.
they get a couple injuries, especially
Oh,
to that already weak back line,
mhm.
they're screwed. Like,
Yep.
I don't trust the back line as is. Like, I know Ruben Diaz had a great year last year, but it was 1 year.
Yep.
Like, I need to see more from him. He didn't even start for his nation
No.
in the Euros, right? Like, he was on the
Mhm.
Did he even make the bench? Whatever.
I think so.
Like, it just wasn't good enough. So I'm
No.
now wondering if that's going to be their Achilles heel.
I mean, it definitely could, 100%.
Especially considering Chelsea and United beefed up their attacking.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, like, all signs point to, not all signs, there's a good sign towards Chelsea should win based on how many clean sheets they had this year, adding attacking, right? And,
yeah, the
and
logic,
the whole Thomas Tuchel, like, is
resurgence.
is he fantastic as a coach? Yes, he is, 100%. So it's
I don't
like,
think that was really a debate.
no, but I mean, just like what he brings to the team when he
Yeah,
came in.
yeah,
Ever since he came
absolutely.
in, what he's brought. So, I mean, I'm gonna say Chelsea. I'm gonna say City, but
You're
in my
pulling
heart,
Chelsea.
that's Chelsea. So,
I think it's going to be Chelsea.
yeah.
I think Leicester is going to finish fourth by like 1 or 2 points on Liverpool,
Okay.
just because I'm worried that another injury to that back line is going to be catastrophic for Liverpool. Either Joe Gomez or Van Dijk. They they went through a whole year without them. Now they're going to do it again if one of them gets hurt. Like, I just don't know if they can do that. So I hope that doesn't happen. By the way, that would make me very, very sad.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I have United and City finishing like dead heat second, like 3 points back of Chelsea.
Oh, I think it's gonna go right down to the wire.
Oh, it's
100.
gonna go. It's gonna be fantastic. This is gonna be a fun year again, barring injuries, of course,
Of course.
because that changes everything in a flash. But barring injuries, this is gonna be a really, really, really fun year, and I
Mhm.
can't wait for it. That'll do it for our kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you were looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. They've been doing some great things with the OUA kickers this year. Some of them are Canada Kicking Academy alum, so they're going to be all over it if you want some help. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, NHL, NBA off seasons, Kyle. Lots of fun there. You will not want to miss it.
Touchline Thoughts. We are an all soccer podcast hosted by yours truly with guests every episode. We provide news, analysis, and opinions every episode as well. Touchline Thoughts is powered by the Garage Door Sports Network, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcatcher. Cheers.
All right, Kyle, we're back.
Mm-hmm.
Fitting that the Touchline Thoughts commercial was the one that we play after the soccer gambit, but
I mean, I like it. I like it.
it's the way to go. But now, dude, it's time to get into a little NHL.
Yep.
Because it's us. We got to talk some NHL at some point.
Of course.
And we haven't had a chance to actually sit down and talk about this, but what did you think of the Seattle expansion draft?
Very weird. One, I think it was poorly run because I already knew every single player that the Kraken were taking.
That wasn't the Kraken's fault, though.
No, but I mean, not poorly run by the Kraken, more poorly run by the NHL, and the fact that all these picks are getting out. Like there should have been literally a ballot that was given to Seattle, given to the NHL, like 5 hours before. Like, Seattle knew who they were taking, contacts that player individually, but nobody else
So
should
the problem
know.
is as soon as they contact that player, it's now public knowledge nowadays.
No, and it's one of those, like, you didn't have this with Vegas.
I know. Other than Fleury. Like, everyone knew Fleury was going.
But even then, that was just because it was a given. Like, that was just one of those, like, to me, it was one of those, like, Tarasenko's available. I thought automatically Tarasenko was going to get taken. Right?
I thought Price was going. I thought Price was
So,
going
so
there.
did I, and it was one of those when do those players truly come available in expansion draft? They never do. So it's like, all right, take them. Like you have to take them.
Yeah, I
And then all of
agree.
a sudden it's like, oh yeah, by the way, out of St. Louis they're taking Vince Dunn. It's like, don't get me wrong, Vince Dunn's a great pick. He's a young defenseman. They way overpaid him on his contract. That's a whole other story. But it's just one of those like it was disappointing the way it was because they gave me no reason to watch the draft. Like I didn't watch it. I literally knew the entire team before the thing even started.
Yeah, it was kind of disappointing because like you wanted it to be entertaining, but it wasn't. I actually had them taking Vince Dunn. I didn't think they were going to take Tarasenko, so I actually got that one right. I didn't get much. I didn't get much right. I want to make that very clear. I did not get very much right.
Well, I don't think anybody did. They literally went off the board with 90% of the picks.
Yeah,
they literally went for cap space and then decided to waste the cap space on half these other players.
Yeah, I think I had Eberle. I know that was a given though in my mind. There was no one else that they should have taken. I had Fleury from Anaheim going as well. I think that's an underrated one. I think
I had Vanacek for sure.
I think he could be really, really good.
Washington.
So
Fleury? Yeah, I mean, if he develops properly, 100%.
Yeah. I also thought that they were going to take a swing at Will Butcher from the Devils, and I thought that would have been a very interesting second pairing, him with Fleury. But regardless, I was disappointed, as were you. Like, it was just not – it wasn't right. I think actually the day itself was fine, the show. I think they did a good job bringing a few players on. I think they had a lot of really cool segments with sportscasters, sports athletes from the Seattle area, which was really good. But it was just underwhelming because you kind of already knew who was going, which was not cool.
Yeah, and it's how do I say it lacked the luster that the Vegas one had.
Yeah.
I guess what you could say, right? The Vegas one was Vegas. Oh my God, Vegas, big things are happening, that kind of stuff. But you didn't know who was going to be picked. You had an idea.
Yeah, you knew Fleury, and then everyone else was going to be a question mark.
But even then, it was one of those like they took England, right? England was the hometown boy, and that kind of stuff. He came out in the Vegas jersey, but nobody had any idea that England was going to get taken.
No.
So it was like one of those like, oh my God, okay, this is actually sweet. Like that's cool, hometown kid wears the Vegas jersey, that has good appeal. I want to watch TV for that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then all these picks come out, and all of a sudden it's like, well, one, they're going for cap space, so there's very limited big name guys that can put on the jersey. Right, and no offense to Chris Drager, but he's not Carey Price. No. So,
how good would that? How good would a combo of Drieger and Price been as a goalie duo? Are you kidding me?
100%. Like,
no, I know they've signed Grubauer after, but still.
Well, but apparently that contract has to be fixed. So
no, it was fixed.
Did it get fixed? Okay.
Yeah.
All I read was it had to get fixed. I didn't read when it did or whatever.
If you actually read that article when they said it needed to get fixed, they had already fixed it.
But even it's one of those like I feel bad for Drager because he was going to Seattle being like, hey, I'm going to be the number one goalie. No, you're not.
Just kidding.
But it's like it was disappointing. Let's put it that way. Because there's ways, and I know with technology and everything out there nowadays, you can't really have anything secret. It's like everything comes out eventually. Yeah. But if the picks would have come out half an hour before the show, people still would have watched.
Yeah.
The fact that it came out the day before. 4 or 5 hours ahead.
Some of them the day before. Some of them started leaking the day before.
Like, but then it's like one of those like 4 or 5 hours ahead. Like some of those like everybody had an idea of who's going to get taken, right? There's like 2 or 3 realistic players that are going to get picked, and all of a sudden Seattle goes off the goddamn board with half these picks, picking an AHL like third liner just because he's $600K for the salary. It's like, okay, why the hell is that the case?
Yeah,
like it's just it was poorly run. Seattle's going to be terrible. Simple as that.
But like, if you actually look at it, they have a really good defense and a great goaltending tandem now with Grubauer and Drieger.
Yeah, they just can't
score. They just need to find some scoring, and they might be okay. Especially considering their division is god awful.
I'm sorry, but Jaden Schwartz is not going to score you 60 goals.
He is, but Kyle,
no, but it's one of those like.
Kyle, listen to their division and tell me how many teams are legitimately good in this division. Anaheim, Calgary, Edmonton, Kings, San Jose, Vancouver, and Vegas. I have 2 of those teams being guaranteed playoff teams. 2. And that's Vegas and Edmonton.
I mean, yeah.
I don't trust Calgary, and I don't trust Vancouver, but they're the next tier. And then the 3 California teams are god-awful.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a chance that just because they have a good enough defense, Seattle could make the goddamn playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, like
It's
I'm looking
awful.
at their team right now, and it's not horrible.
It's not horrible, but I'm just comparing it to the rest of the division. They could finish 3rd.
Like their defense is legit, and I
Their
will not
defense is
deny
very
that. Like it's just one of those like
Even better,
that.
Kyle. If you look at the Central, because we're back to the East-West now for the playoffs, right? So it's the next 2 teams after the top 3 will make the wild card. Listen to the teams in the Central and tell me who's finishing out after the top 3, because I think the top 3 is pretty clear. After the top 3, who's finishing 4th, and do you think they're going to be better than Seattle? You have Arizona. No. Chicago. Maybe. Colorado's in my mind. Dallas, no. Minnesota, maybe. Nashville, no. St. Louis, maybe 3rd.
Yeah.
And then Winnipeg, I think, is the 2nd best team in that division, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, seeing as it came in 4th in the.
But but if you think about it, the North Division last year, I think, is better than a lot of people thought it was going to be.
Actually, they came in 3rd last year, but
yeah. But the rest of that division's awful. So who's going to finish 4th in that division and try to compete with the 4th place team in the Pacific, or the 5th place team in the Pacific for the 2 wildcard spots? Right? Like these 2 divisions are awful.
Fair.
The 2 best divisions in hockey are in the East.
And that's just terrible thing. Yeah.
Right? I'm not wrong though.
No, you're not. Like as a Leafs fan, I hate the fact that they went back to the old divisions, but it's just one of those like I guess there's a chance they potentially.
It's sad to say, but there's a chance that they make playoffs in their first year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Kyle's really mad at himself now because he's like, this can't be happening.
Well, because they're a terrible team, and should they be in the playoffs? Not a chance.
But they have thing is they have one of the best defensive cores in the West.
Yeah, like there's a chance.
There's a chance.
Because
I'm not saying it's a good chance. I'm not saying it's a bad chance, but there's a chance.
Because realistically, one good team in the East, at least one good team, if not 2, is getting knocked out.
Yeah, at least.
Because like a top 3 of Tampa for sure in the Atlantic.
Tampa, Toronto, and probably Florida, in my opinion.
Either Florida or Boston, depending on how.
I would say Florida's better than Boston right now, but not by much. But I have Florida ahead of Boston.
For Boston, it comes down to goaltending.
And they don't have one.
Well, I get Swayman.
I know. Sorry, they don't have an experienced guy, in my opinion.
They got Allmark. Fine.
Right.
He's playing behind a good defense now instead of.
Thanks for proving my point. Anyway,
Montreal
could also fight for that as well, depending on how long Price is out and how they mesh as a team again.
I don't think they really signed the people to replace like Weber and.
No, I don't think they did either, but they could be like the Islanders from a few.
I mean, they were in the finals last year, so you can't really count them out.
That's what I'm saying, right? So they could be the 5th team, and then the Metro is just good. Like
in the Metro, you got Washington, Carolina, and probably Pittsburgh top 3. Islanders probably may push out Pittsburgh on that one potentially.
Right.
But then you have Flyers should bounce back accordingly. I mean, they were terrible last year, but they should bounce back. You would think
Rangers could be good too because they're
Rangers should be good.
Right. The only teams that I'm not convinced on in that division are the Devils and the Blue Jackets.
Even then, the Devils are going to be good. I think
they're going to be good. I just don't think they'll be good enough to push for a playoff spot.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's going to be tough. Like if we're talking the old division, they have a better chance. But the back to the Metro and Atlantic divisions, it's going to be tough. Like the Devils got a heck of a lot better, especially with the Dougie Hamilton signing, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I think that team's going to be a lot better. But God, that's other than Columbus. I could realistically see any of those teams making the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like, so we're back to the Seattle conversation. Like,
Yeah.
Seattle could make it out of the West because the West just looks awful,
Yeah.
and that's just sad. From one draft to another, Kyle. Let's quickly talk about the big news from the expansion draft, and it's kind of upsetting, but the expansion draft was overshadowed this year.
You mean
We should
the
know
regular
that.
draft?
Huh? Or the
You mean
the
the-
entry draft was overshadowed this year. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because of Montreal making their first round selection of Logan Mailloux.
Yeah.
After this kid asked not to be drafted because he wanted a year to right the wrong that he had over in Sweden. And I don't really want to get into that because that's not the point of this conversation.
No.
Montreal takes him anyway, 31st overall. Now, don't get me wrong. If we're talking just on ice, this kid obviously is a first round pick. I'm not denying that. He was probably a top 15 pick.
Right.
This year. But he asked not to be drafted.
Yeah.
He's going through legal things over in Sweden. Well, I mean, he's here now, but like he's dealing with it still.
He's dealing with the Swedish police. Yeah.
Right. And then Montreal goes and does this. You're just asking for problems when you do this. And we talked about it on 20 Minutes on Ice, and I gave my opinion. Like, yes, are they doing enough to try to help the kid? We don't know. Right? We don't know what they're actually doing behind the scenes. It's from what they're saying, they're giving him all the rehabilitation that he's asking for, anything that he's asking for, which is good.
Yep.
But why do this to yourself? Why overshadow the draft after this kid fully asked not to be drafted? Why? Like I know the answer, but
It's Montreal. I don't. It's one of those. And this is not my opinion on the kid. The kid probably is a good kid, but it's just it's a situation where if he asks not to be drafted, the NHL has to not necessarily put something in place, but have something where it's like, okay, if you draft this kid, there's consequences for your team. Because
they can pull his name from the draft registry.
Yeah, he can't do it himself. But because I don't get the NHL, and this is on nobody but the NHL. This is and Montreal.
It's on Montreal and the NHL.
But it's the NHL like should have handled this better.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Bettman's like, well, we were not happy with Montreal. It's your problem. It's your fault. Like, this kid should not have been eligible to be drafted. If and when I say if, everything is worked out and he's cleared of charges or whatever, or he becomes rehabilitated, and I'm not saying he's automatically should be drafted, like if he's convicted or whatever.
If he's proven that everything he has done everything right after and tried to rectify the situation,
yes,
he gets his chance to be drafted.
100%.
That's not the case.
No, and now all of a sudden, and it goes back to how it's a boys' league, and all of a sudden, he can't do no wrong because he gets drafted first in the first round. We wouldn't be having this conversation if he got drafted in the second or third round and somebody took a flyer on him.
We might have been having the conversation if he was drafted second or third. If he was drafted after that, if he was 4th to 7th round, maybe the conversation's different.
Just not nearly as much as we are now, right?
For sure.
Because it's the first round. First round is prestigious.
Right.
It's very limited. They have a whole show about it, right?
Yeah.
It's the first round.
Yep.
Right? The second and third round, the picks go, okay, done, no problem, right? And if the pick would have been talked about, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be as talked about as it is right now because it's the first round pick. And it's just one of those, it looks bad on the NHL that a team like that is willing to basically forget about all these charges that are going on right now and going, yeah, they're helping him, whatever. I don't care. That's not the point. The point is this kid shouldn't have been drafted because now it looks bad on the NHL in the eyes of everybody. And it's one of those, like, just be smart. And they just messed up. They really messed up on this one.
I can't say it any better than that, Kyle. You nailed it on the head. It was the same thing that me and Ryan talked about last week on 20 Minutes on Ice. It's just not good enough from the NHL. You made a mistake. You need to look in the mirror next time when a kid asks not to be drafted. Don't draft him. Like, it's as simple as that.
Remove the name. It's
Yeah.
not that hard. It's really not that hard.
It happens all the time in the NBA. Like, players remove their name in the NBA. Why is that not a thing in the NHL? Like, yeah, whatever.
Well, especially with him asking to do it. He took the big step of
And saying,
asking.
he basically said, I don't deserve to be drafted based off what I did. I need to look at myself in the mirror. I don't want to be a nuisance.
100%.
And you made him a nuisance by doing that.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Anyways, let's get into quickly before we transition to the NBA, Kyle. Obviously, the NHL offseason is full swing. Lots of big name signings, lots of big moves. Fleury obviously traded. Seth Jones then traded, both to Chicago. Dougie Hamilton signing with New Jersey. Grubauer goes and signs with Seattle. Hyman goes to Edmonton. Schwartz to Seattle as well. Sorry, I forgot that one. A few guys re-signed in Ovechkin and Landeskog. What has been the biggest? Who do you think has been the biggest offseason addition for their respective teams so far?
I mentioned it earlier. I think Dougie Hamilton's going to have the biggest impact on his team. I think Dougie Hamilton brings what they thought they were getting in PK Subban. I think that's the biggest thing for the Devils. It truly shores up their defense and gives them that number one option. They never had the number one option because PK Subban could never live up to that contract. That was his biggest problem. And, I think the Devils, with that, all of a sudden become a better team now. And it's amazing how one simple signing can all of a sudden, kickstart a team into potentially being a fringe playoff team, basically, from being a rebuilding team to now a fringe playoff team.
Yeah.
Right. And, you add the other Hughes brother they added in the draft, and all of a sudden this team's like, okay, like this team is going to be a good team for years to come. And it's not as if Dougie Hamilton is going to be old when that team is competitive. He's going to be right there in his upper edge of the prime. Right. Yeah. His upper edge of the prime, getting into, when this team is truly competitive. And that's perfect. Is he going to make a lot of money? 100%. There's no question about that. But I think it's a fantastic signing, and I think it truly works out for them. My other signing, and this is just going, it's not really a sign and trade, I guess is what you could say. Alex Nedeljkovic for the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
I think is going to have a huge impact on that young team.
Absolutely.
The fact that he was a Calder finalist and Carolina traded him for nothing. And then all of a sudden goes and signs a 2-year, $6 million deal, which, looking at who Carolina then signed as their goaltenders in Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta, I would take Nedeljkovic right now over both of those guys, to be honest.
Unless Freddie refines his game, but I don't know if he has it anymore. I really don't know.
That's a big if.
I don't know if he has it anymore. I really don't.
Yeah. And that's not me being, a Leafs fan and being very biased. No, it's because realistically, he wasn't very good. And it's not as if the Leafs defense was bad in years past, but last year it was good, and he still could not stop anything.
No.
I mean, so I personally think that was a steal, and it's another friggin' Stevie Y. It's just becoming stupid now of Stevie Y just absolutely fleecing GMs and getting good players. I don't know. I don't get it, but I think he's going to have a huge impact on the Detroit team, and Detroit potentially could have their goalie of the future, which they've been looking for years.
Since what, Osgood?
Osgood legacy, that kind of stuff. They've been looking for a goaltender ever since.
Yeah. I also like go back to your New Jersey conversation. I love the Ryan Graves addition from them. I know he wasn't a signing, but brilliant. Just brilliant move. He looked so good last year in Colorado. But I think
could be a steal too.
Yeah, I was so mad. That pissed me off, honestly. I think actually the best addition to their team, it wasn't actually a signing necessarily. Was the Marc-Andre Fleury and Seth Jones acquisitions by the Blackhawks.
Yep.
Because we talked about how weak the West is going to be. And I love the moves by New Jersey, don't get me wrong. But they're in a very, very tough division.
Yep.
Chicago's not. Chicago's division's wide open for that third spot. Like,
Right.
I have St. Louis sitting in there right now, but that's like a very unconfident answer.
Yep.
Because I don't really trust St. Louis at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But after adding Seth Jones and Marc-Andre Fleury, the back end of this Chicago team looks very, very strong. Right? You have Fleury and Lankinen in net, who Lankinen looked really good in games last year. So now you have that veteran presence of Fleury to add to that. That's beautiful. And the defense, the top 4, maybe even top 5 of Chicago's defense is Seth Jones, Calvin DeHaan, Jake McCabe, who I think played really well last year in Buffalo, despite the fact that he was playing for, Buffalo.
Yeah, he got extremely overpaid, though. That's the only thing.
I'm not denying that fact, but I think he's a good defenseman. Connor Murphy, who's one of your assistant captains, and he played really well last year in Chicago. And Riley Stillman, who also played really well in Chicago last year. That's a fairly solid top 5, especially in that division where it's really up in the air. Now you add one. You just need to add another defenseman. Either you take the Kalinick entry-level deal and burn the last year of that, or you have Caleb Jones, Seth's brother. Like, that's not bad. And they have talent up front. Like, there's no doubt about it. You're probably getting Taves and Kane healthy again. You got DeBrincat. Tyler Johnson signs there as well.
Yep.
Traded there, not signed there. What am I saying? Kubalik, Dylan Strome, Bjorkstrom. They got Gaudette in a trade, too. He's a good depth player. Kirby Doc. Kurashev, who had a great year last year. They still need to sign Alex Nylander to be that, like, third-line scorer kind of guy.
Yeah.
But man,
right now they have Kurashev, Tyler Johnson, and Borgstrom as their third line. So I think you add Nylander into one of those spots, and I think it makes it a lot better.
Right? But like, that's a good team for a very weak division. And all it did was you add Johnson in there as well. So the 3 additions of Johnson, Jones, and Fleury.
Yep.
I think Chicago had a great offseason, and I think Jones is going to be the key piece there. So we'll see how that plays out. Quickly, let's flip the script because we've been almost an hour now. NBA offseason. Which team won the offseason, Kyle?
I mean, it's kind of hard to argue against the Lakers. It really is. Do I think they're going to be successful with that team? No, I don't.
I think they'll be fine in the West.
But, I don't see. My biggest thing is I don't see how they fit. But I'm not a big NBA guy.
No, but I'm asking the same question. I know I'm not a big NBA guy either, but I'm asking the same question. Like, how are Westbrook and LeBron going to get along?
I think they're
going to get touches.
Well, Melo's going to be post up in the corner and just try and shoot threes the entire time. That's all he's going to do because that's pretty much all he's good for, other than his post move. But even then, he's not going to get the ball to do a post move.
I just don't get it. Like, I'm looking at their signings, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
Basically, what they did was their biggest problem last year was they had no spacing, they had no shooting. Yeah. So what they did in the offseason was they went out and got spacing and shooting. But their defense.
But then they brought in Westbrook,
horrible.
Who's not a spacer or a shooter.
Nobody on that team is very good at defense. Like, LeBron is still good at defense, but he's not defensive player of the year anymore. Like, he's not like
Howard
the guy.
Are literally the only 2 guys that I would trust on defense right now.
LeBron's not the guy who's going to shut down people right now on defense.
No,
right? It's just not who he is.
Monk is an okay defensive player. Malik Monk.
Yeah, they're literally going to try and be,
they're trying to put up 150.
They're literally going to be trying to be the Leafs in previous years, where it's just like, hey, we're going to outscore them. We don't give a crap how we're defending. We're going to outscore them. It's literally what they're trying to do. It's like, hey, yeah, corner three.
They're pulling a Man City from the EPL. We're just going to outscore all of our defensive woes.
It's like, yeah, throw it to the corner three. It's like, okay, that works, I guess. Like, we'll see what happens. I mean, it'll be interesting, that's for sure. But I think realistically, my winners of the offseason are the Chicago Bulls. And the reason why is you already had Zach LaVine and Vucevic, you got in the trade. last year, which was looking questionable because of the first round pick you gave up and giving Orlando basically a top six pick, and doing that. But now adding DeRozan, adding Lonzo, Lonzo Ball.
You got it right. You're good.
I was gonna say, wait, did I say the wrong Ball, brother? No.
There's
Adding
three of
Lonzo
them.
Ball, adding DeRozan. So if you
Add Caruso too, a guy who's a heart guy, like that's the kind of guy.
Caruso would be a fantastic guy off the bench, and I honestly think the Lakers are going to extremely miss Caruso because Caruso is that glue guy.
He's that energy guy. He's the energy guy.
Every team needs a guy like that, and it's no question about that. So I think a starting. I don't know who the fifth will be, but Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, and Ball. It's a good starting four for me. Add some defense in there as well, and I think you're looking good. The other one I would say would be the Heat. Would be the other people. Getting out Dragic, adding in Lowry, re-signing Butler, keeping all their core pieces basically.
Kept Oladipo
and
signed Tucker too. Don't forget that. That's an underrated move.
That's
Tucker.
that 100%, and that's I think the most underrated is getting Oladipo back for basically no money, and just fitting him into that team, right?
Yeah.
So because Oladipo went back on a veteran minimum.
Yep.
Like we were literally like last year, and I ripped the trade when it happened, but it was like Oladipo for what was his name? No, who they flipped them at the trade deadline.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
I can't remember. It was literally I absolutely ripped it. It's like, why would you get rid of Oladipo for a guy? It wasn't Dinwiddie. I can't remember what it was. I'll figure it out. But anyways, like it's just one of those like I think Miami is trying to compete in the East, and it's going to be tough in the East. Don't get me wrong. But I think they have a chance. So I do like their additions, and not necessarily all additions, but I like their
moves.
Their moves in keeping people.
Yeah.
So
can we also say the biggest loser from free agency is Dennis Schroeder?
Well, he hasn't signed yet, has he?
Yeah, he has. He signed with Boston.
Oh, yeah, right.
But he had like an $81 million deal on the table with the Lakers. And then said no because he thought he was going to get $100 million somewhere, and then signed for 5.9 for a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you lost that one, my friend.
I mean, I would say so. Like it's just one of those like, it sucks because it's one of those. He bet on himself and it failed.
Yeah. But it happens,
sucks,
unfortunately.
But, yeah.
I'm interested to see how the Clippers bounce back after last year's failure in the playoffs. They haven't really done a whole lot. Signed Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
And Yogi Ferrell. Oh, no, that was earlier. That was April. Yeah, they just re-signed.
Oh, that was the guy. That's what it was. Oladipo was traded for Karis LeVert is who it was.
Right. Yes. Okay. I remember that now.
What I was trying to think of. But yeah, no, I mean, the Clippers re-signed Kawhi, and that's huge for them. But it's like they
haven't done anything else.
Still missing something.
They haven't done anything else.
So we'll see. We'll see how the Lakers do. I like Phoenix trying to run it back. I do. I like that.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like they've made some smart moves in the offseason. Nothing huge, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like they got Landry Shamet from the Nets. He's a good bench player. Like you're not gonna get too much from him, but that's a good guy to bring back. They re-signed Frank Kaminsky, who's another bench player, and they also signed Alfred Payton, right?
Yep.
These guys aren't going to tip the scales drastically, but you need the bench. You know that. You need the bench in the playoffs. And these guys are guys that you can put in and be like, okay, for a minute, 2 minutes, we're confident. Like, we're not gonna get blown out in the next 2 minutes, right?
No, and I think, like, I definitely – I totally lost my train of thought there. I'm also interested – yeah, I was going to say I'm also interested in seeing, like Dallas, right? Signing Doncic to that big deal. Who becomes his running mate? Because clearly Porzingis is not working. Clearly, they think, right? So do they contact the Raptors and go after Dragic, right? Do they get a
Or
point
Siakam,
guard to help them out?
because that's been talked about too.
I think Siakam goes to Sacramento. That's just my opinion.
I'm just saying, like, that's been talked about. So,
And I think if you can fleece Sacramento, I think that's a whole different story. So, but we'll see.
yeah, lots of interesting things there. What about the Bucks though? The Bucks have been really quiet so far, and I'm looking at it. I'm just like, I know they just won,
Yeah.
but they've done like nothing. They've signed. Listen to the names that they've signed. So they re-signed Bobby Portis.
Yep.
And they re-signed Giannis Antetokounmpo, Giannis's brother.
Giannis's brother. Yep.
And then they've signed outright Sammy Ojeleye, Rodney Hood, George Hill, and Georgios Kalatsakis. I probably butchered that, and I'm sorry.
Probably deservedly so, because you don't need to know his name.
And then they received Grayson Allen in the trade from Memphis.
Yeah. Grayson Allen, I like as a shooter. I do.
I'm a Duke guy. Like I remember Grayson Allen when he was at Duke. I'm not always a fan of his antics, but he's a good shooter. He's a good defender too.
I like Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is a good bench piece. He's not a starter.
That's what I'm saying. Like they really didn't go out and get anybody. Like George Hill, maybe.
George Hill, even then, like Rodney Hood was horrible. We'll see what happens with that.
I don't get that.
Ojeleye, I don't mind as a bench piece. He was good with Boston, so we'll see what happens in Milwaukee. But they haven't really replaced what PJ Tucker brought to that team. So, does Bobby Portis now become a starter because PJ Tucker's gone? Potentially, I guess. I mean, we'll see. But I still think like teams around them have gotten better, but they haven't. So,
like I honestly just don't know. I just don't see them getting any better at this point because there's not anybody really left on the market that is like, okay, well, we're gonna bring him in and be confident with that. It's like, no, we're kind of stuck now. Like,
100%.
Good luck, but we're kind of screwed. So
I mean, I look around and like Brooklyn got better, adding Patty Mills as a bench piece. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
They brought in James Johnson for the power forward position. Like that's a pretty good pickup. They added Bembry off the Raps, which I think was a great, I guess, small piece doing that. Boston, I think, got better with Schroeder running that point and getting rid of Kemba, right? So I think that was a big piece. Losing Fournier to the Knicks is fine. Like, Fournier was going to be overpaid either way. So there's that. And like Atlanta didn't do a whole lot more. So we'll see. I still think they're going to be a great team.
I don't think they're going to be a bad team. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't know if they got any better when everyone else was.
I don't think so. But, I mean, we'll see.
We'll see. Makes it that time of the day, Kyle. It's time for our final thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Start us off, my friend. What are you thinking for this week?
Final thoughts.
Or I guess these last 3 weeks. You can have anything from the last 3 weeks.
I'm actually curious as to how the playoffs fold out in the MLB. We're coming down to the last month and a bit. And honestly, it's very close in the East specifically. Or AL, sorry, not East.
And it's in the AL East too, but
well, that too, but it's one of those, the Jays, Yankees, Seattle, Angels, like they're all within like 4 or 5 games. And it's one of those, Boston's been terrible down the stretch, so can they be caught? Did Boston do enough at the deadline to improve their chances? We'll see. What does Schwarber bring to that team? I don't know. So, I mean, we'll see. The Jays kind of have struggled so far out in the West Coast. They're 2-3 against teams they realistically should beat.
Well, they should. Well, I mean, if you look at it, Seattle's a 62-win team as well.
No, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying you can't lose to a Seattle team when Robbie Ray goes 7 innings, give up 2 runs with like 9 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden Brad Hand comes in and walks the guy with 4 straight pitches. You're in there to face a lefty, and you walk him on 4 pitches.
But here's my thing, and this is just me being not always impressed with Charlie Montoyo's decision making. Simber should have gotten out of that jam the pitch before, the at bat before, because it went off his glove. If he hadn't touched it, it goes to second.
I was gonna say if Simber leaves it, it's out of the inning. 100%.
Right? Why pull him? I understand the lefty versus lefty match. Like I understand that logic, but you're bringing in a guy with the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th, or was it the 10th?
Bottom of the 9th, yeah.
Bottom of the 9th. Why would you do that? You're just putting that pitcher in a really, really bad spot. Like you're asking for something to go wrong there.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Right? Like I'm not saying Brad Hand deserves to be let off the hook because that was awful.
Yeah.
But he was not put in a very good position. Anyways, I digress. Continue your rant about the...
But no, I'm just very curious to see how it plays out and which teams truly get him, because I think the playoffs this year are going to be very entertaining with how good these teams are. I don't think the division winners are going to walk away with anything compared to previous years, where it was like, hey, the wild card team made it, but the wild card team is going to get knocked out no matter what, basically. Yeah. Right? It was one of those, we've had in previous years where the wild card team
they've been fine. They deserve to be the wild card.
Right? You could technically argue, especially the AL East, 4 of those teams could potentially be the division winners. Like the Rays right now are a better team. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. They deserve to be where they are. But you could realistically say Boston, the Yankees, or the Jays could potentially be a division winner, and you wouldn't question that.
The only one I would question might be the Jays, just because of the pitching.
Well, and I think if the Jays would have
their issues, like that would be the only reason that I would question the Jays being a division winner. But
if the Jays addressed their bullpen issues earlier, I don't think we'd be talking about the Jays not being a division leader right now.
Fair.
Like the Jays have scored the least amount of runs in the 7th to 9th inning in the AL, which is saying something.
You mean given up or scored?
Scored.
Okay.
But their bullpen has given up the most runs or blown the most leads in the AL or MLB, one or the other. I can't remember which one it was. So I mean, it shows you how the team's good, but as soon as it gets the bullpen, where you would normally at least you get your bullpen to keep it where it's at, they weren't doing that.
No.
So
yeah, they're last in the AL for runs scored in the 7th inning or later.
Yeah.
And then pitching wise,
I mean, they're probably better now, but they were pretty bad. So.
7th or later. They are 11th in the entire league. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th worst in the AL.
Yeah.
For ERA.
Yeah. So
it's not good.
I mean, it's gotten better with Richards and Simber and all that kind of stuff. Like ever since they've come in, they've been kind of lights out comparatively. So yeah. It's better. Don't get me wrong, but
it's also surprising to me that I didn't realize that the Jays were like top 2 in a bunch of hitting categories. Like I was just not paying enough attention. They are like 2nd in home runs.
They're literally behind the Giants. They're behind the Giants and the Astros.
But they have like the fewest strikeouts or something. 2nd fewest strikeouts in the entire league behind the Astros.
They're behind Houston. Yeah.
What? What?
Yeah. Well, like last year, we were talking about the Jays striking out. Like literally in the playoffs, Glasnow just was like, "All right, 99-mile-an-hour fastball, hit it." Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's just
I digress.
it blows my mind as a Jays fan, like just not realizing that they've been that good offensively.
Yep.
That it really has just been, and more than anything, it's really just been the bullpen. Like I think their
100%.
starting pitching has been good. Sometimes it's been great. I think the addition of Alek Manoah
Yep.
has been the surprise of the season for the Jays.
Hmm.
Because we knew he was going to be good. I don't think we all knew he was going to be this good this fast.
I mean, no, not really.
Like I knew he was going to be good,
Yep.
and I thought he was going to be a solid like 2-3 pitcher, like 5 years from now.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody expected it to be now.
Like now is a surprise, but like good for him. Like he's done exactly what he needs to do. He's like, okay, you said you wanted me to come pitch. I'm going to come pitch. I don't care what happens. Like if I get blown up, I'm still going to come in smiling into the dugout. Like
Yeah, I'm still gonna be good.
he's
So,
just he is living his best life and doing it in a season where Vladdy and Bichette and Springer are all doing a great job of living their best lives.
yeah,
By the way,
yeah.
saw the most ridiculous comment on I think it was Instagram. Someone was asking, when does Springer deserve to get MVP recognition?
No.
It's like the guy missed half the year.
If he was
If he was doing this all the way through the
Yeah.
season, yeah, absolutely fine. We're talking about him in the MVP conversation.
Right.
But
it's not even a question. If he was doing this the entire year, if he was healthy, not even a question, he'd be getting MVP conversation.
absolutely,
No
I'm not denying that.
question.
But I was just laughing. I'm just like, really, like I missed half the year. How in God's name is he supposed to be considered an MVP candidate if he wasn't even here for most of the season?
Delusional people.
My final thought: watching that Canada women's national team win the gold was one of the greatest moments in Canadian soccer history, if not the greatest moment in Canadian soccer history. I would put it right up there with the Gold Cup. I would put it right up there with Canada's men's team making it to the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
It was phenomenal. And to see, it was basically a passing of the torch too.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Sinclair win the the penalty, and instead of taking it, which she has every right to, and if she had taken that kick, no one would have batted an eye. No one.
No.
But instead, she passes it off to Jessie Fleming, who, by the way, is a stone cold killer when it comes to PKs.
Oh, she's fantastic.
She is incredible. The rest of the penalty kick takers for both Sweden and Canada, I cannot say the same.
No.
Because that was an ugly, ugly shootout.
That it was.
But they did exactly what they needed to do. And I think it speaks to it. It's a testament to how far the women's program has come.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, unfortunately, a testament to how far that we still need to go to build the game in Canada. Because we don't have a professional women's team, let alone league in Canada. We just started the CPL 3 years ago in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I know TFC's been around for a while, and Montreal and Vancouver, but we need to do more. We need to give our players more opportunities to succeed. And when they're given the opportunities, we've seen them do incredible things. Obviously, Sinclair is the catalyst for that, but now you're looking at the next generation of like Janine Becky, Alfonso Davies, Jordan Heidema, Jonathan David, right? Like these players are incredible, and they feel like they can't play here. The women can't. First of all, the women just straight up can't.
Mm-hmm.
The men feel like the teams here just aren't good enough.
They don't get the same recognition, 100%.
Right? So it's a problem, and I think it's something that needs to be talked about, and it's something that needs to be built, because I do believe the CPL is doing a great job of trying to get young Canadian talent professional playing time. And that is something that we need to keep doing. But the league needs to continue to grow. And I know it's only in the third year, so they're doing what they can, and they're doing a great job. We need to build on that, as the Canadian national team needs to take that and help build with it. TFC and Montreal and Vancouver need to do a better job of trying to implement Canadian players if they can. I know they don't have to. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But they should. TFC 2, first of all, should be playing in the CPL. Montreal 2 should be playing in the CPL. Vancouver 2 should be playing in the CPL. There's no need for them to play in the USL. If there's an equivalent league in the Canada. Right? That's a problem. We need a women's team in Canada.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a league yet, but we need a women's team. We need an NWSL team here in Canada for the
A team for sure. Yeah.
Right? That's my rant for the week.
I like it.
Anything else you want to talk about before we head out of here, man?
No, it's all these sports are going and they're coming back, and it's an exciting time to be a sports fan. That's for sure.
Absolutely. It's always an exciting time to be a sports fan nowadays because there's always seems to be something about to start up around the corner. Like NFL's like what, 3 weeks away, 4 weeks away?
I mean, yeah, preseason's going on right now, and it's like it's back.
So soon Kyle's going to be losing money left, right, and center.
100%. 100%.
That's the one sport that you struggle in because it's the NFL and everything just screws up in the NFL. Like,
I mean, I won a bet yesterday for preseason football. So
yeah, I know, but it's preseason. It doesn't actually count.
It does in the pocketbook.
But yeah, it's exciting times. We're obviously excited. We're gonna have a lot more. It might just be you and me for a while, dude. Giving Irfan some time to finish that thesis. But if he jumps on, he jumps on. Obviously, we love having him on. So
anytime he wants, we're happy to have him.
Yeah. That'll do it for our show today. Make sure you check us out at Garage Door Sport on Twitter, at Garage Door Sports on Instagram. Check out the website, garagedoorsports.com, for all the latest news and notes. If you're looking for our other shows, make sure you check them out. Kyle does a great job of hosting and now producing Betting House with Matt.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are doing that tag team style, I believe. So you're doing a great job with that. Don't forget Justin and TJ also over there. Irfan doing a great job with Touchline Thoughts over there with Paige. They're killing it. Absolutely killing it. I'm over there on 20 Minutes on Ice with Ryan Haslett, having a lot of fun talking some hockey. We're taking a little bit of a break in the summer, so we won't be every week, but we're on. We have fun with it. So make sure you check us out. Other than that, thank you for listening. We will see you next time.